1, 2, 3. Oh, shit, fell. Fix it. Still recording, actually. Welcome, I'm Dr. Mike Hansen, and in this video, we're gonna talk about the 10 proven benefits to exercise. Why am I making this video? Because physical inactivity or lack of exercise is a big deal in the world, but especially in the United States. It's been proven that lack of activity is associated with more mortality. All right, so technically physical activity and exercise aren't the same thing. They technically shouldn't be used interchangeably, but for our purposes, I'll just say exercise is a more planned form of physical activity. Now, I said exercise improves mortality. This is based on a bunch of observational studies. If you didn't know, there are different types of studies that can be done. Observational studies aren't the best quality studies, but it's hard to study exercise because you can't just put people into a certain group for a certain amount of time and then study them over time in these different categories. The same applies to studying nutrition, and the same applies to studying a lot of different things in medicine. What do I mean by that? Okay, so there's just a study that came out on CNN saying that physical inactivity was worse than smoking. Now, that may or may not be true, but I'm not gonna base my thinking off of that one study because I know how difficult these studies are, and you can't come to definitive conclusions based on one study because there is no perfect study, especially when it comes to exercise and nutrition. For example, you can't just put people in different groups and then study them over time. It doesn't work that way. You can't just have one group of, okay, these people are going to smoke but not exercise. These people are going to smoke and exercise. These people are going to not smoke but they will exercise. And then these people are going to not smoke and they will exercise. Those four categories are each separate, but you can't just lump people and force people to do each one of those and then say, okay, we have 1 million in this category, 1 million in that category, and then 1 million in that category, another million in that category. And then say, okay, we're gonna watch them from the age of 18 to 65 and then study these different groups. That would be a great study in theory, but obviously has ethical issues because you can't just say to someone, hey, listen, for the study, you're gonna smoke for a really long time because, we're trying to get good results here. Number 2, it's been shown to improve the effects on the heart and the cardiovascular system as a whole. So for example, there's less risk of coronary events, meaning heart attack, less risk of cardiac death. There's improvements in overall blood pressure. Number 3, exercise has been associated with improvement of insulin levels, blood sugar control, meaning you're less likely to get type 2 diabetes if you have exercised regularly. Also, nutrition plays a big part in that, as does everything else that we're talking about, but we're focusing on exercise in this video. So exercise by itself has shown to have a less likelihood of developing type 2 diabetes. Number 4, I mentioned earlier, prevention of cancer. Can exercise prevent cancer? Well, the studies have shown there is less likelihood of developing certain types of cancer with routine exercise. This includes breast, colorectal, intestinal, prostate, endometrial, and pancreatic. Proven benefit number 5, you're less likely to become obese. If you are obese, you're likely to lose fat. So exercise in and of by itself will help you lose fat. Dieting well, having a good nutrition plan, that will help you by itself lose fat. When you combine a good diet with a good exercise regimen, those two combine exponentially to help you lose fat. It's like fat burner, looking shredded. Number 6, decrease the chances of osteoporosis and fractures of the bone. This benefit is when you do weight-bearing exercises. So when you're lifting weights, this increases bone mineral density decreasing the risk of osteoporosis, decreasing the risk of fractures. This is especially important for women who are at higher risk of osteoporosis, especially as they get older. Number 7, want to quit smoking? Well, exercise helps you to quit smoking. I suggest that. Number 8, physical exercise is associated with a reduced risk of gallstones. Gallstones are in your gallbladder. Well, not everyone, but they can form in your gallbladder in this little area that's right next to the liver. And sometimes those gallstones can irritate the gallbladder and they can exit the gallbladder through this little canal. And when that happens, infection can develop there. That's known as cholecystitis. No one wants that. Number 9, exercise is associated with improved cognition, keeping your mind sharp. Now, this may decrease your chances of getting dementia, but the studies are not conclusive regarding that yet. Number 10, it reduces anxiety levels, reduces stress, decreases your chances of becoming depressed. Now, when you think about it, what happens when you exercise, they talk about that runner's high, but also you get that high from when you're working out with weights or doing high intensity interval training. What's going on there is you have this surge of norepinephrine, which is like adrenaline. You have norepinephrine, you have dopamine going, you have serotonin. All these neurotransmitters, these chemicals in your brain are flowing, and it makes you feel good in that moment. You're like, woo! And then what happens is you kind of come back down to your baseline. So you get this spike in these chemicals, natural chemicals to your brain, and then you kind of go back to your normal baseline where you were after the workout. But then what happens is you do it again. And then you go back to your new baseline, which is a little bit higher than your old baseline. And then you do it again, and you're a little higher, and you're a little higher, and you're a little higher. After a while, if you do it for 30, 60, 90 days, you start having a new baseline up to here, your brain is feeling really good more often compared to where you started. So, exercise. I recommend every day if you can. Maybe 1 or 2 days off, but the more the better, generally speaking. Of course, everyone is unique, everyone has their own genetics, everyone has their own physician, hopefully. But generally speaking, the more exercise, the better. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to give it a like. If you didn't, feel free to dislike it, whatever. And I will make another video if you want me to. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about the benefits of exercise. If you've in particular noticed the benefits, let me know below. Let me know below. If you have a thought, let me know below.